Gel in Agriculture, brought to you with the compliments of the Ministry of Agriculture, Food, Fisheries and Water Resource Management and the Barbados Agricultural Society.
Grow well, eat well, live well, right here in Bim.
How many times have you seen the term organic and not known exactly what it means? Well, today we're going to try to break that down for you with John Hunt and Roger Holder. Let me first start by telling you that they're members of the Organic Growers and Consumers Association. So that's a good place to start. What is the Organic Growers and Consumers Association?
The Organic Growers and Consumers Association is a group of local farmers who have either started doing organic farming or converted their operation to organic agriculture. So we follow principles that are based on the world standards for certification for organic farming, and we're spread all over the island. We have farmers as far as St. Lucie, right down to St. Philip.
So tell me about how you got into organic farming.
I had a brother that developed cancer. I've always wanted to do farming. I thought it was a good way to start and to move into other stuff as well. But when he became ill, and having seen his struggles in terms of trying to find good vegetables that you can juice, organic vegetables, and realizing what he had to go through, I thought to myself, well, I don't think I can do obviously commercial farming, conventional farming, sorry. So I found John. I think that's how my interest with organic farming started. It turned out to be a beautiful thing in that, for example, when I eat lettuce myself, once before I never gave it a thought as to what's on the lettuce, what was it washed with. But now I am a lot more comfortable. I'm happy with the fact that I myself can eat organic stuff that does not have any pesticides on it. I'm happy with the fact that there are other people out there that want it and can get it. So that's where it really started. That's where my interest started, and it's been going from there, basically.
All right. From what I've learned, organic can be a pretty generic term. So based on what you try to portray or what you try to do, what do you mean when you say that you are organic farmers?
Generally, local farming, more than 90% of it would involve synthetic chemicals, fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides, many of which may be banned in other parts of the world but are still sold in the Caribbean. Organic farming differs in that we are not allowed to use any synthetic chemicals or of any type whatsoever. The purpose behind organic agriculture is partly environmental, and it's more an environmental management system than just growing food. So we try to make sure that we interact in a sustainable way with the environment, which isn't the same case with conventional or what we consider local agriculture. Local agriculture is basically there just to make money from the farm. Organic farmers actually put something back into the soil. So that's like the big difference between the two.
All right. Tell us what you do here at your farm.
Oh, okay. My major crop turned out to be cassava. It grows pretty well over here. Out of that, we've been able to produce an organic cassava flour as well. In addition to that, we also do other stuff like lettuce, and I'm trying cabbage and watermelons as well. So basically we do just about every crop that a regular farmer would do. We also try some sweet stuff. For example, Swiss chard, which is not really a common crop, but it's a lovely crop. It's lovely with lettuce and stuff like that if you're making a salad bowl.
John, what are some of those methods that you're undertaking to get around fighting pests, etc.?
Okay, there are several different types of methods I think you can use. I've tried mulching. That works pretty good.
What's mulching?
Oh, mulching is normally organic matter. The cassava sticks that we harvest, we're going to mulch them, cut them up, and create a big enough heap. And then you put it back into the soil as opposed to just dumping it, which is a good thing. The other thing we also use is a flame weeder. It's a thing you put on your back, and we basically kill the grass, use it to help kill the grass. The challenge is the same for everybody, obviously, but the methods of going about it is different. It is harder. It might even be a bit more expensive. It's also labor intensive, because what the part I didn't mention is the fact that the old-fashioned way, you just get in there, get on your hands and knees, and you just pull the grass.
Your main crop was cassava. You had a problem with pradial larceny, and you turned that around into something new. Tell us about that.
When the cassavas were about 3 months, somebody thought they looked good enough to harvest, so they came in, got inside in the middle, and they began harvesting our cassavas. I must confess, I was really depressed about it, but I decided let's see what we can do about it. Let's remove that that blend they have. So we came in, we cut the cassavas down. We got Bay DNC to come in, and basically we started to make cassava flour.
Organic cassava flour now being made here in Barbados. You started a movement, Trust Organics. I had my photo already and my shirt, one of the first shirts, I must say. Tell me about the movement and how people can get on board.
We have two mottos. One is food you can trust from farmers that care. This is something that we've had for a number of years. This is our grounding motto. So for the t-shirts, because that's a mouthful to put on, we say let's shorten it down to Trust Organic. And on the back of the shirts you'll see farmer. And when we have some for sale to the public, which we have on the back, I do. So they'll be able to say Trust Organic and I do. So we want people to get into that movement. We want people to feel that they can be a part of what is organic. And it's not just about eating food, it's about protecting the environment. And that your part of protecting the environment is really purchasing food from people who protect the environment.
If there's one thing that you had to say that you want people or viewers to take away when you talk about organic farming or eating organic crops, what would you say?
I would say ask your farmer, your local farmer, how they treat the land, how they grow their food. Because there's probably a lot more people doing organic than in our association. But we want farmers who are perhaps using pesticides, the conventional local farmers, to convert their systems. And to me that's more important maybe than the consumers, because the consumers only have a limited supply that we can offer. But if we can get more people involved in organic agriculture, then we can really have something that changes the health and the lifestyle of people in the country.
For years I've been concerned about the amount of chemicals that get into our water systems. Things like that always bother me because I know that it's not a overnight problem. I know that I have a son, and hopefully one of these days I would have grandchildren, as will you and everybody else here. So I am saying to myself, I would like to see the day where we can change the way we do things for the better.
That's our take on organic farming. We're going to take a break. Gel in Agriculture. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Right here in Bend. Grow well, eat well, live well, right here in Bend. Grow well, eat well, live well, right here in Bend. Grow well, eat well, live well, right here in Bend. Grow well, eat well, live well, right here in Bend. Grow well, eat well, live well, right here in Bend.
Welcome back to Gel in Agriculture. Now we've come over to the Bullens Agricultural Station over in St. James to meet up with Anthony Phillips, who is an agricultural assistant here at the station. What is protected agriculture?
Protected agriculture is basically protecting plants from the outside environment in terms of the sun, the wind, rain mostly, and insects.
What are some of the ways that we can protect crops?
You could build shade houses, greenhouses, or some row covers, just basic row covers that could work.
What are some of the methods that you employ here at the Bullens Agricultural Station?
Right now we have mostly shade houses, but soon to be working would be a massive greenhouse, which would be like a state-of-the-art greenhouse, having control by electronically and with cooling systems that is state-of-the-art, so the plants should be working under ambient conditions.
For people who don't know, break it down for us. What is a shade house?
A shade house is basically a frame, a simple frame, and it's covered with netting of different shades. You could get 30% shade, 60%, whatever shade you need.
All right, so some might ask, plants are outside in nature every day getting sunshine. Why do we need to shade them?
The outside, you don't have ambient conditions for plants to grow. When you have them, the plants on the outside, they're under undue stress, especially from the sun, the wind, and especially in heavy rainfall.
Are there particular types of plants that would need more shading than others?
Certainly, for instance, orchids and anthuriums don't like direct sunlight, so the shade house is the best method for them to operate under.
What are some of the plants that you have here at this particular station?
There are a wide range of plants. You could get orchids, anthuriums, palms, hibiscus, you name it, we have it here.
Do you think that a shade house is something anybody can build, or would they need to contact you at the Ministry of Agriculture if they needed a little bit of help in setting up their own shade house?
A shade house could be very simple, you know. If you look at like a simple house that you're going to live in, it's just a house like that, but the covering in terms of the netting or the plastic is just the difference.
That's what you call protected agriculture. We're going to take a break, but when we come back, we'll tell you all about horticulture. Stay with us right here on Gel in Agriculture.
Right here in BIM. Grow well, eat well, live well, right here in BIM. Grow well, eat well, live well, right here in BIM. Grow well, eat well, live well, right here in BIM. Grow well, eat well, live well, right here in BIM. Grow well, eat well, live well, right here in BIM.
Look at those coconut shells with anthuriums growing out of them. When you see that, do you think horticulture? There are so many terms being bandied about in agriculture that we really don't understand. We're going to talk now with Mr. Bernard Thompson, who's going to explain horticulture a little bit more.
Horticulture is the science or art of growing vegetables, fruits, flowers, and ornamental plants. Simple. Here is supposed to be a research station, and our job here is to do the research on the cut flowers, and that information that we gather from the research is supposed to be passed on to the farmers. What you are seeing in the coconut husk is anthuriums. The heliconias normally are grown in full sun, and they are grown from what we would call rhizomes. Now, you will need basically to do the cultural practices, which will be your watering, your fertilizers, your treatment for pests and diseases. But normally they tend to like a lot of water. So you'll find them growing in areas where you have plenty of moisture in the soil. The anthuriums, on the other hand, are grown not in soil, but in coconut husks. Now, the reason for that is that the coconut husk offers them a medium that is freely drained. Now, you will also see a black lining at the bottom of the bed. Now, that is basically to prevent any moisture from coming back out of the soil into the coconut husk. And that is an attempt to prevent diseases soil-borne diseases from coming from the soil and entering into the bed. In here, in our anthurium house, we have several different varieties. You will see the reds, the other pastel colors like the peach. We also have the white. Now, each color carries a different name. You will notice that there are several reds, and the difference would be in the color of the spadex and also in the color of the spathe. The heart-shaped part of the flower here is the spathe, and this finger-like projection here is called the spadex. And you will know when to harvest these, especially when you're thinking whether they're matured. The spadex is rough to the touch. When it's young, it's very smooth. Right now, we do not export the anthuriums. All that we produce is mainly consumed on the local market. So you have flower shops, hotels, restaurants, they're even sold in supermarkets. And you have, of course, the local florists who would come and purchase. Normally you would purchase the orchid seedlings, which would be a fairly small plant. And you will plant them out in, this medium here is an expanded clay pellet. Again, the orchid, just like the anthurium, it likes moisture, but it does not like that moisture staying around the roots. If that happens, then the roots tend to rot and your plant dies. Now, to produce an acre of orchids, you'll need at least about 30,000 plants to do so. And with that, each plant is expected, according to the textbook, to give you at least 12 stems like this per year. All right? Now, there are some varieties, like the varieties we have here, that will give you more than that. We call them multi-spiking, varieties. And they are mainly out of Hawaii as opposed to out of Thailand. Now, if you look here, you'll see on this plant, you have 2 spikes coming out at the same time. In some instances, you get as many as 6. So that increases your yield at the end of the year. Okay. Now you're talking about 30,000 plants, and if you're saying that you're getting at least 12 of these per plant, right? And then you're counting your florets because you're actually selling this by the floret, by this. One of these is 50 cents. Okay. So you're talking 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. And some farmers will count these first 3 buds because they will eventually open, right? So that will be 18 florets on this. This will cost you here $9. Now, you have 30,000 plants producing enough of these to give you at least, when you can actually, for that 30,000 plants, you can be talking anywhere around $1.8 million. Now, but remember, the initial capital, initial startup capital is high because you have to put them, like the anthuriums, under a protected structure. And that protected structure is very expensive. It could be like this porcelain cable, or it could be like a greenhouse, but it's expensive. So when you're doing after you look at your financial analysis, which will tell you, yes, after my expenses and my sales, I made a little money, then you still have to do your economic analysis now, which will tell you whether or not the venture is sustainable and profitable at the end of the day. So you're looking at things like your net present value, your payback time, your internal rate of return when you're looking at economic analysis. But I'm telling you, it is a very profitable business. So are you ready to get into it?
That's it for today's presentation of Gel in Agriculture. We covered everything from organic farming to horticulture and, of course, protected agriculture. Remember, if you have any questions or you need any help, feel free to call the Ministry of Agriculture. We can grow, eat, and live well right here in BIM. Bye-bye.
Grow well, eat well, live well, right here in BIM. Grow well, eat well, live well, right here in BIM. Grow well, eat well, live well, right here in BIM. Grow well, eat well, live well, right here in BIM. Grow well, eat well, live well, right here in BIM.
Gel in Agriculture, brought to you with the compliments of the Ministry of Agriculture, Food, Fisheries and Water Resource Management and the Barbados Agricultural Society.